To the arrest of a man wanted in Kansas.
Morning cloud cover, now a thing of the past. We've got sunny skies today, but a cold front on the way. All the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we introduce you to stingless pet bees.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Wanted in one state on outstanding warrants and now behind bars. The question now is, where will he appear in court first? This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. 40-year-old Jesse Davis is now in jail in Rogers County, Oklahoma, facing a slew of charges after a high-speed chase. But it turns out there's a couple of counties in Kansas that are looking for that same Jesse Davis as well. After he was arrested yesterday after a high-speed chase, troopers discovered Davis had warrants out of Kansas in the Great Bend area. Oklahoma Highway Patrol says it tried to pull Davis over for speeding on I-44, but Davis hopped off the interstate and onto Highway 412, going the wrong way, close to 100 miles an hour. Troopers say Davis crashed the car and took off. Officers later found and arrested Davis and a female passenger. She told troopers she was being held against her will and was released. Davis is in jail, facing a number of charges related to the crash. His next court date has not been set. Well, enjoy it while it lasts. It's been a great week. Michael Hayslip joins us.
We've got a little bit of time here because
Yeah.
you got to remember, tomorrow actually is going to be just a little bit warmer than what we'll have this afternoon, but it has been a delightful Thursday. It's been a delightful week. The 36-hour trend throwing temperatures up in the 60s for the last 2 days. Today we'll go mid-50s, and there we are with gorgeous blue skies outside of Television City. Like I said, we're a little bit off from where we were at this point in time yesterday. We were even throwing up some 60s in southeast Kansas during the KOAM News at noon on Wednesday. Now we're going to go high 40s, low 50s, but nothing to scoff at, certainly. We missed all the rain. The radar tried to pick up some light snowflakes just north of our highlighted counties. That was early this morning. So we're staying on the dry side for the next 2 days. Nationally speaking, we'll talk a little bit about the jet stream, but it's really forcing all the inclement weather up to the northeastern portion of the U.S. Our weather trend for today, north breeze, that's what kind of tempers us off, keeps us from getting into the 60s. But as Tanya said, here's why you got to take advantage of the next 2 days. Great looking Thursday night, little shot of rain for Friday, and then Friday, how about 60-degree temperatures? So what happens after we top out on Friday? Oh dear. We approach midnight on Saturday and watch everything just continue to fall down. Tanya, did you see those teens pop up right there? Coming up here in just a little bit, let's talk about what it's going to feel like when you walk out the door Saturday. But hey, it's one day, it's February, shouldn't be unexpected. We're not going to get any snow out of it. And then Sunday, we're right back at 50.
Hey, at least we're not going to have the snow this time.
There you go.
All right, thanks, Michael. As of today, masks are no longer required in most indoor settings in New York, one of a string of states to drop the requirement. The governor cites declining COVID case counts and extreme restriction fatigue. Nevada is also expected to announce plans to join the mask-free ranks today, but choices at the state level fly in the face of federal recommendations, which remain unchanged. And in New York City, masking is still in effect. The rules are also uneven in schools across the country, where the issue of masking has created a firestorm and fueled anxiety. Cost of living is still on the rise. A new report shows consumer prices rose 7.5% in January. That's compared to the previous year, the largest increase in 40 years. Gas prices are at an 8-year high, and used car prices jumped 40%. People buying Valentine's Day gifts are also experiencing sticker shock. Shipping issues have led to tight supplies for roses and other flowers, and prices are growing. Super Bowl Sunday could turn into a super crush of semis, as the trucker protest over COVID vaccine mandates in Canada may soon be rolling to Los Angeles and a city near you. Natalie Brand joins us from the White House with that story and how the protests north of the border could impact you at home.
Preparations for Super Bowl Sunday in Los Angeles now include a DHS warning of a potential convoy of truckers, similar to the one that's prompted a state of emergency in Ottawa, Canada. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas spoke exclusively to CBS News' Carter Evans.
Once they intervene in other people's freedoms and liberties, it becomes a more complicated landscape, but we're working with law enforcement to address any eventuality.
The Department of Homeland Security says it's received reports that the truckers could potentially begin in LA this Sunday and travel cross-country, possibly reaching Washington, D.C. as early as March 1st, the date President Biden delivers the State of the Union address. DHS has warned police agencies while there are currently no indications of planned violence, the potential exists to severely disrupt transportation and federal government operations. The White House says it's watching the trucker protests in Canada very closely as they've blockaded a bridge into Detroit, impacting a supply chain already in crisis.
The Ambassador Bridge is Canada's busiest link to the United States and accounts for about 25% of trade between the two countries.
Auto manufacturers on both sides of the border say they're experiencing production disruptions at their plants.
The economic and social harm that these protests are having here in Windsor, in Ottawa, and across Canada is quite significant.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is calling on Canada to immediately reopen the bridge, saying the blockade is having a significant impact on Michigan's working families who are just trying to do their jobs. It's hitting paychecks and production lines. That is unacceptable. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Canada is America's largest trading partner, and the auto industry is a key component of the American economy, accounting for about 3% of the nation's gross domestic product. Well, Russia's foreign minister met with his British counterpart this morning and said his country would not accept any Western ultimatum. Russian troops in Belarus, Ukraine's northern neighbor, started large-scale military drills this morning. The U.S. calls it an escalatory action. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, no need to be aware of these black sugar bag bees stinging you. That's something they don't do, and the buzz around is they've become Australia's biggest pollinator. We take a deeper look at the flying insect. And later, we're making buffalo chicken mac and cheese balls in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. It might sound like an unusual choice for a pet, but bees are becoming favorite companions for families in Australia. CBS's Tina Kraus has the story.
A swarm like this would have most people making a beeline for cover. But not these kids.
I love the bees.
Unlike other buzzing insects,
They don't sting.
these black sugarbag bees native to Australia don't sting.
As soon as they hear the word stingless, they gravitate towards this and they want to find out a little bit more. But what the queen does, she's busy laying eggs and also...
The stingless sugarbag bee is one of the country's biggest pollinators.
Native bees, they've been a part of this ecosystem for hundreds of thousands of years, and they face a number of threats, notably habitat loss.
Throughout 2020, billions of Australian insects were wiped out in devastating wildfires and flooding. To protect the pint-sized pollinators, rescuers are delivering hives to neighborhoods around Sydney and creating quite a buzz.
Pretty much every single person here has one of our hives. When they see how gentle they are and tiny, they all want it because it's the best pet.
I see all of them.
For those who befriend the bees, helping the environment isn't the only reward. The tasty honey they make is pretty sweet too. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
So far, more than 100 colonies have been rehomed to backyards, parks, and childcare centers around Sydney. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
The big game is right around the corner, and that means we need to be armed with all sorts of munchies. Well, today, we've got one that combines two of our favorite.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Got to kick back and enjoy all this sunshine and great February weather, because remember, it was just 1 week ago where we were popping up every sky cam that we could get our hands on to check on the travel conditions and what the snow depth was. Now here's a live look right on I-44 outside our friends at Landers Chevrolet, and it is absolutely smooth sailing. As a matter of fact, we don't even see any remnants of that snow depth that's left now that we've been able to ride 2 consecutive days in the 60s and pushing up into the mid-50s later on today. Matter of fact, if we go back and we start on Monday, average high this week, 55.5 degrees. Compare that for the entire month of February. that checks in only at 43 degrees. So yeah, just this week alone, we've been 12 degrees above our monthly average daily high. There we are over 7th and Rangeline, where it's absolutely beautiful. We'll come back there in a second because I want to talk about wind and humidity, but let's conquer our temperatures first, as we see 51s rolling through southeast Kansas and Chanute, Parsons, and Neodesha. 49s running a string from Lamar down to Carthage into Monette, and 54 is what we have right now in Miami. So if we go back to 7th and Rangeline, the wind has been a little bit here, there, and everywhere. Started in from the north and northwest. Now we see the south-southwest. But the fact of the matter is, it's only going to sit there at about 5 to 10 miles per hour all day long. Our humidity did drop all the way down below 40%, but because our wind is not going to pick up, we're able to kind of cancel that elevated fire threat that we've had for the past couple of days, and we do not anticipate experiencing any gusts. You'll see the blue and the yellow kind of hanging up there on the top left-hand corner of your screen, but that's just part of a low-pressure system that they had to move through earlier this morning, not going to affect us. That being said, because our wind did kind of take a little northerly route, compare this to where we were at this point in time yesterday. You'll see most people are about, anywhere from 4 to 5 degrees lower. Got 7-degree difference up in the far northwest at Yates Center and Iola. Skywatch Storm Tracker for us has been clean and clear as can be. We kind of dry slotted ourselves this morning. Watch how we've got rain out to the west. And we even had a little light snow there that rolled through central Missouri, barely, dusting if that. Certainly didn't affect any travel. But right through the heart of the 4 states, like I said, the only thing we got from that was cloud cover. And that frontal system, it moved quick, got down into Arkansas, took the loop of the jet stream that we'll see right here, and is now progressing on the eastern side of the Mississippi. Let's talk a little bit about that jet stream. Because as it moves through here, and you almost see the trough, the old inverted U. Sometimes that can mean severe weather. Well, there's just so much high pressure right now that's hanging west of the Mississippi that it's simply forcing everything out to the east. Let's start in the west, though. This is extremely abnormal for them. It's the West Coast, we think warm temperature. No, they should be sitting at about 60, 65 degrees. They're about 20 degrees warmer than what they'd anticipate. And you can notice from the color contour, it's not only LA, of course, where the Super Bowl will be on Sunday, but look at how the contour stretches all the way up the coast, almost into southwestern Oregon is where they're having record-setting temperatures. Now, compare and contrast that with winter weather advisories for the upper plains. That's right, they're going to have blizzard-like conditions because as the snow rolls through, they'll not only have to worry about the snow depth, but also 30-mile-an-hour winds and wind chills down into the single digits for tomorrow. Let's keep on moving out to the east because that's where we see the majority of the rainfall, albeit mixed with the snow. But at the same point, East Coast, not a whole lot of watches or warnings even out there at the time. Our weather trend back here in the 4 states, like I said, we don't have the oppressive West Coast heat. We certainly don't have the high plains storms. We don't have any rain to worry about out on the East Coast. We'll have that for a day and a half more. After a great-looking Thursday, let's jump into Friday because Friday is going to throw us up some 60s up on the board. Right here, early tomorrow morning, we may pick up a raindrop or two. It'll be done, though, before everybody gets seriously started on the road. No travel concerns, stays as rain, just too warm. But look at what happens as we approach midnight. Down, 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 down we go on the mercury to the point where when we get into Friday night, look at that color contrast right there. Teens, early Saturday morning, and then we'll roll some single digits by 10 a.m. on Saturday. Right after that, it's a thing of the past. 50s on Sunday, and then we kick off next week in the 60s. Next shot for some legitimate rainfall on Wednesday.
Well, except for that one day, I think it's wonderful.
One day, one polar plunge. It wouldn't be perfect if Mother Nature didn't have that for us.
I know. Oh, man. Got to be cold that day. All right, we can do it. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Private First Class George Connolly in the U.S. Army. The Fort Scott native joined the L Company, 2nd Infantry in 1941. During World War II, Private Connolly earned 3 Bronze Stars and 2 overseas bars. To Private First Class George Connolly, we thank you, our 4-state hero. Looking for a good buffalo chicken recipe for game day? What about a mac and cheese recipe? Today, Howard shows us an appetizer that features both of your favorites in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
The big game is right around the corner, and that means we need to be armed with all sorts of munchies. And rather than serving the same old things, how about making something that promises to be a hands-down winner since it combines two of our all-time favorites, buffalo wings and mac and cheese. Let me show you how easy. We start by combining a package of frozen mac and cheese that we've thawed, along with some diced cooked chicken and a bit of buffalo wing sauce. After this is chilled, using a small ice cream scoop, we scoop it onto a baking sheet, like this. Then into the freezer they go. When they're rock solid like these, we dip them in an egg mixture, then roll them in seasoned breadcrumbs and place them in hot oil until they get crispy and golden. And yes, you can make these ahead of time and simply warm them up in the oven. What we end up with is a fried ball of mac and cheese studded with a taste of buffalo wings. Maybe serve it up with blue cheese dressing for Dunkin' and celery sticks for crunching. To get the recipe for our buffalo chicken mac and cheese balls, all you have to do is visit our website. And it's amazing how good these are. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a 2-in-1 winning way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
A little bit cooler today than what we had on Tuesday and Wednesday, but still delightful, mid-50s. And look at that, finishing off the work/school week up to 60 degrees before the cold front comes and gets us late Friday night into Saturday.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, the Biden administration is allocating $5 billion to states across the country to develop electric vehicle chargers over the next 5 years. We're going to learn more about the historic investment and the president's push to transition to clean energy. Plus, a Joplin business owner says he's the victim of crimes and that the Joplin Police Department isn't doing enough to solve the cases. We're going to hear his story tonight at 5. And if you have antiques for sale, well, get ready because American Pickers is coming back to Kansas. Michael and Tanya are both excited about this news.
I remember how successful it was the last time that they were here.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Yeah.
So do I. It's kind of it's a history lesson and kind of a treasure hunt combined.
It sure is.
Anyway, all that's coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Down. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.